Hey there, DJ Short from Rotoworld here, and I'm joined by Matthew Poliat and Ryan Boyer, and we're here to talk about the year of the home run. I mean, this year has been ridiculous for home runs. It's all everybody's talking about, the juiced baseball. Even MLB is acknowledged as such that the ball has changed. I think the big question going forward is what the impact will be for 2020 and beyond. But let's take a look at this year, and I think just to provide some context here, just look at the 30-plus home run hitters this year compared to the previous 5 seasons. It really stands out when you look at it that way. Double last year, and then just look at 2014, there was only 11. So, sometimes we live in the vacuum as fantasy analysts, but obviously things have changed in how you approach drafts. And like I was saying, what are we expecting for 2020? I mean, I know the baseball is supposedly going to change again, maybe, but that may be 2021. So, what are we thinking going into drafts next year?
And they're never going to tell us when the baseball changes. We have to wait to find out ourselves and get an astrophysicist to tell us what's inside the ball. But at this point, 40 is a new 30. I mean, you don't. Yeah. So,
guys with a power-only profile, unless they're going to finish, among the elite with the home run hitters, it's not. You got to bring something else to the table.
Right. So, like a Chris Davis. Doesn't stand out. A Rhys Hoskins doesn't stand out. You got to do a little bit more, hit for average, steal some bases, get on base, score some runs. You definitely need more of that 5-category ability to stand out in this current environment, I'd say.
And I think if they do change the ball, if they deaden the ball, whatever they want to call it, I mean, everybody's going to be affected. But I think the guys who probably are going to be affected most are your non-traditional power hitters, your guys that had pretty big home run spike just in 2019. And when considering that, I think looking at the average home run distance is a good place to start. A guy like DJ LeMahieu finished 395th in average home run distance this season.
Which is fine when you're at Yankee Stadium.
That's fine, but if they deaden the ball, you never know.
Right.
Christian Vasquez, who I think quadrupled his career home run total this year, was 387th in average home run distance. Yuli Gurriel, who has been a fine player over the last few years, but it's a guy who we weren't expecting much power at all from him. He topped 30 home runs this year. He was 383rd in average home run distance. Eduardo Escobar has had a couple 20 home run seasons, but I think he finished with 35 this year. He's 315th in average home run distance. These guys could still have good seasons, but I think you could run into trouble if you miss out on the Pete Alonsos, your marquee power hitters, and you think, well, I can wait multiple rounds and get Eduardo Escobar. He just might not give you what you're expecting at that point.
Right. So just to provide a little more context to the season, just look at this here. MLB history. The top 4 teams for single-season home runs, it was all this year.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Yes. Twins and Yankees both getting over the 300 mark. The Astros and the Dodgers topping the record that the Yankees set last year. So another thing I think we need to think about is the AAA rate for home runs was up by 50% this year. And I think that makes it tough when you evaluate these prospects coming up from the minors. Obviously, Yordan Alvarez duplicated what he did in AAA. Pete Alonso exploded. He didn't play in AAA this year, but obviously exploded as a rookie. But I think when you look at some of these other guys, and where everyone's hitting 20 home runs in AAA, and you play in the Pacific Coast League, for example, what do you do with those guys when they come up? I think Isan Diaz with the Marlins was a good example, had a breakout year in AAA, sort of putting everything together. But when he came up to the majors, it didn't translate.
Right. Luis Urias.
Yeah.
Padres kind of told me he wasn't quite good enough at the beginning of the year. They picked Tatis over him. They signed Kinsler. So he went back and hit a bunch of AAA homers, and now you're good enough. But then he comes to the majors, didn't quite work for him. Right. So it's still a little different, and you can't really trust the AAA numbers.
Completely.
Even less than what you.
And you can look at pitchers as well. I mean, you talked about Isan Diaz, his former AAA teammate Zach Gallen just had unbelievable numbers in the PCL this year, and with that sort of an offensive environment, perhaps we should have expected more from him at the major league level, because he looked, didn't used to be a top prospect, but I think we should have seen what he did in that kind of offensive environment and expected him to pitch well, and that's what he did down the stretch.
Right. So next we're going to look at just how home runs have increased over time. Of course, this year the all-time single season record for home runs in a season, but also the correlation between home runs and stolen bases. Stolen bases continuing to trend down. I think some of that is teams not wanting to give away outs, but at the same time, you look at strikeouts are on the rise and players swinging for the fences, more home runs than ever before. There's just fewer opportunities on the base pass. So what do we think about that as far as fantasy strategy moving forward? For me, I think I'm less likely to go after that all-speed guy like maybe you do in previous seasons, like a D. Gordon or a Malik Smith, because you want someone, like we said earlier, who's a bit more well-rounded.
Yeah, I mean, it's if you draft a Malik Smith and the home runs don't go down, you feel like you're playing catch-up.
Mm-hmm.
So
one thing you kind of have to look out for now, you can't find the 20 steal guys as much to help you out. You have to even look just guys who are going to steal 6 to 10 bases.
Mm-hmm.
That's a significant number. Someone who's not going to steal anything for you. Even a guy stealing 8 bases now, a stolen base is worth 3 homers.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. And I think with fewer stolen bases, I think it's easier to compete if you don't get that, dominant steal guy. So it's not hopeless if you aren't getting someone who stands out.
You can get some steals off the waiver wire, probably just as much as you can get from a late round pick.
Exactly. So we've broken down the year of the home run here. We'll see if it goes to 2020 as well. But for now, for around-the-clock MLB news, rumors, injury reports, and analysis, go to rotoworld.com/MLB.